30. And then for your Monday, sunny skies and a high of 44 degrees. That is a look at the news for now. I'm Frank Sparks, Beaver County Radio News, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WNBA, and beavercountyradio.com.
This multimedia program is part of a balanced breakfast. You're listening to AM Beaver County on 95.7 FM, 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and 1460 WNBA. Also streaming live at beavercountyradio.com. All presented by St. Barnabas.
It's 8:35 on this Friday morning here on AM Beaver County. We're at the freezing mark, 32 degrees, and I'm now joined in studio by a man who's been very busy in the year of 2022. And it's been a while since we talked. Mayor Dwan Walker of Aliquippa. Mayor, good morning to you.
Good morning, man. Like I said, I apologize for my absence, man.
That's okay. It's understandable. I mean, you've been in so many places. In fact, we'll start with one of the places you've been over the course of the last few months. You went to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
How was that?
That was amazing because you got to be a part of Biden's Build Back Better and talk about local leaders in Pennsylvania who are doing things and to celebrate like the bills that he's passed for infrastructure and to talk to the heads of these departments to tell what ails us. I mean, the only way you can fix local problems and local solutions, and they wanted to know how we felt and what we're up against and what we face, budget wise, infrastructure wise, the money to try to get the resources, green technology, the whole nine. So you got to hear from the horse's mouth, as they say, what was going on in Washington D.C. and how it's going to triculate down to local municipalities like Aliquippa, Midland, Beaver Falls, and how that's going to all work. So I got to meet President Biden, first man of Kamala Harris's husband. He was there. He got to talk to us, talk to Department of Education, Department of Infrastructure. It was just good to be in that for those few hours in the White House and getting to see and sit down and talk to these people and explain exactly what ails you and what you're faced with every day.
So what's been the response from the government so far? Because I know you mentioned you got to meet the president and sort of spell out what it is that's, needs improved for Aliquippa and what is needed for a better future. How's been the response ever since the visit?
Well, just mostly just going through our elected officials. I mean, now you lock down who's going to be there. So it's Rob Matsey, Chris DeLuzio, John Fetterman, working through them to get that money to come down to us by next year. So we're locked down with Shapiro and Austin Davis. So now, okay, yeah, Washington, D.C. knows, but it's going to have to, as you know, you got to get into the planning phase, submitting grants, submitting loans, submitting everything. Now, the infrastructure bill really is still, that's out there. So we'll see how that goes by the first of the year, 2023. But it's worth to have the conversation because at least they know, because again, Rob Matsey knows what ails us. Chris DeLuzio knows what ails us. Fetterman knows. They all know. Shapiro, these guys all know what ails Aliquippa, what ails Beaver Falls, what ails McKeesport, what ails, Braddock. So they all know. They all understand that it's going to take conversation and dollar signs that most municipalities don't have. We don't have that kind of money to do the infrastructure that's almost close to 100, over 200 years old in these communities. It's going to take a lot of comma signs and dollar signs for us to get it done.
It is going to take a lot to get it done. And you mentioned all the infrastructure. I mean, it's been a little over a year since Governor Wolf came to town and you guys discussed the future plans for Aliquippa. And now, of course, like you said, that transition is going to head over to Governor Shapiro and Senator Fetterman. So it looks like the process is not going to waver that much and the conversations are still going to be the same. But what's going to be, what would you say is the timeline for things to really start rolling? And I know it may not be an easy answer, but what would you say or what would you hope is going to be sort of the time we start seeing the first signs of these changes happening in Aliquippa?
Well, I think we've already submitted our plans for the East End Gateway. All we're doing is waiting for a yes from the Southwest Pennsylvania Commission about doing the East End Gateway. The Fifth Avenue Hill Corridor, we submitted the last plans for that. So I think we'll break ground on the Fifth Avenue Hill and probably the East End Gateway we're doing some mediation now. So we're getting the tanks. There's a lot of tanks in the ground in the back half of Aliquippa towards the tunnel. There were gas stations back there we didn't know about. So we did a mediation on it and found out there were tanks in the ground that we have to get out in order for that ground to be viable. So there's still some work in progress, but the money's there. We just got to make sure whenever they start, pouring it down to us in the first of the year, that we start hitting shovel the ground and we start banging it out, doing what we need to do. So the mediation process is taking from now until the end of the year. Fifth Avenue quarter cement. The plans are already submitted for that. So we're going to start doing all these things that's going to start happening the first of the year. I mean, we've got to understand something. This is not, I snap my fingers, that money just appears.
Right.
I wish it was the case, man. They say the wheels of justice move slow, but I think government moves a little bit slower. But definitely, I think the first of the year, we'll see the fruits of our labor. Oh, and also we end up getting some funds from Rob Matsey to do 4 market rate housing in Aliquippa. So we're going to do 4 market rate housing in the city of Aliquippa for the first time in probably 50 years, maybe.
Wow.
And that's big because market rate housing means we're on the process of arriving. We've always been here, but when you put housing that's for market, for pricing, and you give people some nice houses to live in, they can change their mindset on what they see. We're still doing our tear downs. We're still changing things. But, yeah, I do think the first of the year is going to be real good for Aliquippa when it comes to starting to hit shovel the ground and getting things done.
We're talking with Mayor Dwan Walker of Aliquippa, and you talk about changing things. One thing you guys are changing, and this took place just a couple weeks ago, is on Election Day you guys voted for Home Rule Charter. So what brought on that decision, and what's going to be the plan moving forward for that?
So the Home Rule Charter doesn't say that the form of government is bad, because we 9 years positive fund balance, 2 years pension fund funded 100%. We don't make any contributions to that. It's just changing the form of government where people get more involved. I mean, it's easy to point fingers at people that there's no stake in the game. But the Home Rule Charter will change the form of government. So we got 5, you go to 9 possibly, and you get more people involved in the process of government. It's not saying that this form of government is bad at all, because we're in the black. We don't owe anybody any money. Our pension fund is funded. We're getting projects going. So it's not a form I don't want people to think that this is bashing the form of administration that's in there now. No, we're not. But we want more investment in people. We need more investment in people having conversations about the city instead of at the city. So that's why that form of government from Home Rule Charter is going to change. A lot of people saw it on the ballot and was confused because there was no really talk about it always leading up to the vote.
True.
Our goal was to try to get it removed and put it back on May. But by the time we got to the courthouse, it already went on to the ballot. So there was nothing we could do, and there was no time to really educate people on the process. Now, first of the year, close to the end of this year, we're going to do more of an education, try to get people more familiar about it. We'll get more information out there as it comes forward, so we can always, get people informed of it. Because I want people to be educated on this process. This, by no stretch of the imagination, is saying this form of government is bad, because there's no indication of that. The governor's award we've gotten, like I said, I'll mention it again, the budget being funded in the last 9 years in the black, our pension fund in the last 2 years being funded. So, no, we are in a good situation, but we just need more buy-in. We need more people to get involved in these processes to move this city forward in the right way.
Now, you mentioned informing the public on Home Rule Charter. Now that it's sort of, like you said, it was sort of came as a surprise to them for the most part. Are you going to have any public meetings to sort of? Okay,
absolutely, because you can't. No, you can send somebody some flyers. My dad always say, but if you can't explain it to a 2-year-old, don't try to explain it to me. So we got to be able to sit down and have that conversation face to face with people, so they get that buy-in of that this is what it is, and this is what it. And again, I'll say this again: it does not say the form of government as it stands right now is doing anything wrong.
Right.
It's just saying that we need more buy-in, more cooperation, more collaboration from the residents as a whole.
Exactly, and that's sort of what Home Rule Charter is. Because I know here in Beer Falls, they've sort of adopted that, and that was their plan.
And
for
Newcastle just did it. So Newcastle just did it, and they did it, and it takes about a 2-year process to get it all locked in. So when it forms, so. But yeah, it's a conversation we need to have.
Yeah, and like you said, much like the money, this is not something you just snap your fingers and it just happens. It's a process that'll take a couple years to get there.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
So we're talking with Mayor Dwan Walker. We've been talking about Home Rule Charter. We've been talking about infrastructure, and of course, the mayor's visit to Washington, D.C. On the other side of this break, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the festive side of what's going on in Aliquippa. We'll do that next here on AM Beaver County. Make the holiday special with a delicious box of chocolates from Roseland Candy Castle in New Brighton. For over 100 years, Roseland Candy has continued to demonstrate unmatched passion for chocolates. Roseland's chocolates are made from scratch with only the finest and freshest ingredients. Roseland's has luscious cherry cordials, peanut butter meltaways, chocolate-covered pretzels, and so much more. Come visit the area's chocolate experts in New Brighton. Roseland's will ship their fresh homemade chocolates to your friends and family directly from their store. Order online at roselandcandy.com. And remember, Christmas just wouldn't be Christmas without Rosalind Candy Castle.
Rosalind Candy Castle has been voted #1 best candy store in the area 19 years running. Rosalind Candy Castle can ship your chocolates anywhere. Visit online at rosalindcandy.com. Celebrate the holidays with chocolate from Rosalind Candy Castle on 5th Avenue in New Brighton.
Highmark Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and Allegheny Health Network are pleased to present a new show on Beaver County Radio called Heroes. Tune in every Saturday at 10 and Sunday at 12:30 for Heroes, a wonderful half-hour segment hosted by Jim Roddy that profiles many of the local heroes in this community. Click highmark.com for more information and then tune in for Heroes this Saturday at 10 and again Sunday at 12:30 on WBVP, WMBA, and 99.3 FM.
Diamonds might be a girl's best friend, but the station that's been your ear's best friend since 1948 is celebrating its diamond anniversary year. Thanks for listening to Beaver County Radio.
And it's currently 8:46 on this Friday morning edition of AM Beaver County. We're talking with Mayor Dwan Walker of Aliquippa. Before we get to the festiveness of the season in the city, Mayor, you did want to clear up one final thing about Home Rule Charter, because I know we were talking about that during the break.
I just want to make sure that people understand that it is a part of our exit plan to come out of distress status next year. In 2023, the city will remove the distress status off our name. Part of that exit plan, was for us to reevaluate the form of government and to bring it more into fruition of how it can affect the people and have more of the people being and buying into that. So it is a part of our exit plan. It's something we must do to try to look at the form of government as it stands. To make us more viable as a municipality or a third-class city. You have a choice. 7 people can go in a room and say, hey, this is leave it as is, the form of government works. Or they can say, hey, you know what, we do need more buy-in from everybody. So, yeah, let's vote to change it from 5 to 7 changes from a city to a municipality or a borough. Those are the conversations we'll have in the coming years, in the coming months, that we'll get information out. We'll have town hall meetings. We'll make sure everybody knows what's going to happen moving forward. This will not be a blind side or anything like that. And if you say you don't know after this, I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know what else we could possibly do to get information into your hands to have you have a buy-in in this thing.
Right. I mean, you guys are going to do everything you can possible to make sure that the people know what's going on and that everybody's on board. Because like you say, this is Home Rule Charter, which means that the main point of it is to get everybody on board. Now, moving on to the more I want to say fun side of things, because, things can be fun in government sometimes. But the festive nature of the holidays, because Christmas is coming up. We'll get to light up night in a little bit, but there was something else you mentioned during the break, that for Thanksgiving there was a donation of turkeys.
Yes, the Equipment Club gave out, I would say over at least 40-something turkeys, man, to families in need. And Filimotimo, George Karras, and the Greek Church, and the Kimesis Taco donated turkeys and boxes. I'm talking about whole meals. I'm talking about turkey with the fixings in it. The only thing you would have to buy is some rolls, just being and it just helping out needy families. He's been doing it every year for his son and his church, George K. And it's just amazing, man. That Aliquippa always come together in time of need, and I love my community. That's why I say I love Quip. I love this time of the year. These are my favorite holidays, man, because the greatness comes out of people, man, during this time to help people in need. And you got a lot of people in need, as you know. And to see these locations, the City of Aliquippa, Salvation Army, the B.F. Jones Library, the Police and Fire Department are taking toys and donations. It's all hands on deck right now to make sure our families have what they need. And I love this time of the year. It's the best time of the year.
It is the best time of year, and that's the best way to celebrate this time of year, is to help out for those in need.
Yes,
and it's a great thing. But, of course, while Thanksgiving's sort of, right around the corner, on the next corner down, it is going to be Christmas, and that brings us to Light Up Night, which is coming up pretty soon.
That's December 1st, 6 p.m., Franklin Avenue. All the local businesses are involved. You pretty much can walk the streets that day and stop in any shop, from get hot chocolate, donuts, food. I mean, anything. There's so much stuff for kids to do, activities, food, raffles, bikes. I mean, Light Up Night at the police department, man. It's a beautiful time of the year, man. And then, getting out of COVID, as they say.
Yeah.
And now you get back together again with your family. And everybody get to come out and be one. Hopefully it's not too cold. And then we do ride along with Santa. We'll take the fire trucks out and the police cars and we'll ride through the community. And Santa will be on a sleigh riding around, giving candy canes out, something the fire department do every year. So no, this I can tell you, this is the best time of the year for Aliquippa, man, and I just love this time of the year, just to make sure we can celebrate one another and end the year out on some positivity rather than just all this negative stuff. But again, we got the Franklin Avenue Development Corporation. They'll also be involved in that. They have Light Up Night with Santa Claus, kids age up to 12. Raffle tickets, unwrapped gifts. We're taking unwrapped gifts anywhere from $20 to $25. You can drop it off at the city building, the fire department, the street department, and the police department. If you got any unwrapped gifts, because we're getting close, we need to make sure everybody knows if you have anything unwrapped and you want to bring it down. Can't take pre-used and used stuff, but if you got anything new in the box, you want to donate to a needy family, man, we got a lot of them. So please come down and donate to those 3 locations: the city building, the fire department, police department, library. Just donate, and we'll make sure it get into the right hands.
Yeah, and that's going to be a great thing too. That again, because even though you do have the fun side of it, with Santa running around, again, the focus seems to be on the helping out of others and donating. And there's another thing too, I believe, because we talked about it with the Salvation Army getting involved too.
Oh yeah, the kettle drive. Make sure you do that too. They always need that during this year. Ring the bell if you got volunteers that want to help. Ring the bell. The Salvation Army has been feeding people all year long, man, and their supplies get diminished. So anything that you could do to help them out, I would greatly appreciate it. They need it. So again, and that's just talking Aliquippa, that's Beaver Falls, that's all the places you think that have Salvation Army headquarters and give away furniture and do the right things. Please, if you're out and about and you see a kettle, man, go ahead and donate, please, and help them out.
Yes. Now, for anyone who wants any more information about, because I know you said you have the flyer for the Light Up Night. If anyone wants to find out more information or sort of remember this information for themselves, where can they find it?
Man, you can find it on my Facebook page, the city's Facebook page, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere. Call down in the city, go on our city website, online. You'll find the flyers there. You'll see that, it's on the front doors of a lot of places. But I also, again, want to thank Denise Drabeck and Manna for always doing what they do to make sure our city stay fed. And if anybody's in need, Manna, Hope Lutheran Church in Aliquippa do an amazing job, man. Sound the Alarm Ministry do an amazing job. There's some churches that are stepping up to the plate in Aliquippa that are doing big things. Darrell Reeves Fund, he's doing some big things, too, in Aliquippa to make sure our families get fed. Aliquippa High School, they're doing big things. So there's a lot of, like I said, when I say all hands on deck, there's truly all hands on deck right now.
And it's funny you mentioned the fact that Aliquippa High School is doing big things right now, because I was going to lead the last thing I want to talk to you about today. And,
segue.
And clearly you are dressed for the occasion tonight. And I know we've talked in the past about how Aliquippa's identity is everything that's involved with it, local businesses, its government, everything, and that it's not just football. But the fact that you guys are in the semifinals again this year must feel pretty good.
Not that hard to talk about. Not that hard to talk about. But this is the best time of the year, because if you're gonna beat the best, you got to play the best.
Yeah.
We say we're the best all the time, and now you're facing somebody that's almost your equal.
Yes.
McKeesport Tigers, double overtime last year.
That's true.
I didn't go to that game. I was sick with COVID, man, and I watched from my house, and I was like shooting fireworks off and smacking pans when we scored that touchdown, man. My neighbors thought I was nuts. But this is what you live for. This game right here is what you play for. This game right here, it says this is a gauntlet. Anybody come out of District 7, and you go to the Shore Park, you running through a gauntlet.
Oh yeah.
And you going through a gauntlet of teams that can be, you got some games that might be, flip-flop you expected. But this game right here, this is going to come down to all facets of the game: coaching, special teams, offense, defense, everything. This is going to be a game that needs to be, it's going to be a game. And it
ain't the first time this year the Quips have done that either, because just a couple weeks ago, Coach Warfield, for all the accolades that he's gotten, pair of state championships and different classifications and all the wins that he's accumulated just as few years as Quip head coach, the one thing he had not done was beat Central Valley, and he finally got that win over the Warriors a couple weeks ago.
But that's why he said this is us. That's what it sure say this is us, because this is our time. Like, this is the time. These kids want it. These kids train all this summer. They got themselves in shape. You look at that line. This is a team built for games like these, cold days. They call it the frozen tundra. Big linemen, big running backs, quarterback who can play, skill positions all around. And then you beat your rival that's beat us, the last 3 or 4 years? And you beat them. and here's the thing: you don't close the door on that chapter because ain't no telling what might happen next week. CV could beat Thomas Jefferson, and guess what you got? Aliquippa versus CV.
Yeah.
For all the marbles.
In Pittsburgh.
What place would you rather be? What would you rather do after Thanksgiving? What would you rather be and where would you rather do? So think about it. Yes, it's a feather in the cap, like Mike said. It was another game, but it was a game that we needed to win. And it's a game that was against your rival, against your neighbor who's 5 minutes away from you. Yeah, you could say it meant something. I ain't gonna lie. Walk in Max Donuts and you see somebody wearing a CV shirt, you kind of poke out a little bit.
Yeah, your chest gets out there a little bit.
You kind of walk around and make sure your hat is straight, and you can see the Aliquippa symbol on the front of that thing. But you there, yeah. But then you turn the page on that the next day and you say, let's get ready because we know what's coming. This is 2-man enter, 1-man leave. This playoff time. That's
exactly what it is, playoff time. We've been talking with Mayor Dwan Walker of Aliquippa. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about before we wrap things up?
No, if I could say anything, man, I know, just let people know, man, that the city's in good hands and that we're doing the best that we can with what we have and that we're trying to get better. We don't claim to know it all, but we try to figure it out and we do our best. And I just thank everybody who's along for the process, who's actively involved in the process and wants to learn about what Aliquippa is doing and how we're changing things and what we're on the verge of doing. So, I just want to, just thank people for that and just let them know that, hey, this is the season of giving. I don't care where you are in the county. Make sure you do your part, man, because there's a lot of people in need, man, and I see it every day. And our hands ain't big enough and our shoulders ain't big enough to carry the weight. It has to be spread out over everybody.
It is. You're absolutely right about that, and hopefully everybody does give at this time of year because, again, that's the time. It's what it's the season all about, giving and gathering,
Yes,
giving
sir.
and gathering.
Yes, sir.
We've been talking with Mayor Dwan Walker. Mayor, thank you so much for stopping by this morning.
Appreciate
Looking
the
forward to talking to you
opportunity,
again
man.
next time you come in.
Yes, sir, family.
And coming up next is a Friday edition of Teleform here on Beaver County Radio. It's currently 8:56. We're at the freezing mark with cloudy skies. And you've been listening to AM Beaver County here on Beaver County Radio. Enjoy your weekend.
Are you ready for a life-changing career? Presley Ridge